Thank you for joining the Maximising Language Success, EAL and MFL resources for secondary students with Languagenut. I'm Roisin from Languagenut. My background is in applied linguistics. I've also taught EAL, French and Spanish at pre-primary, primary, secondary, adult education and further education, and in third level as well. What I'd like to do this evening is I'd like to show you all the resources on the Languagenut platform that are available to you and your students in a variety of languages. The format of the platform is the same across the board in terms of for French, Spanish, German, Italian, Mandarin. So I'll show you, I'll go in, show you some resources in French, Spanish, Italian, German, and so on. Again, the format is the same, only with the EAL subscription, we have a self-study course and an English proficiency test, which I'd like to show you. So when you log on to Languagenut, this is what you're going to see. I'm going to start off by showing you the secondary resources. We're fully aligned to the SEC, covering both junior cycle and senior cycle for Spanish, French, Italian, German, and Mandarin. So I'm going to start off with some Spanish resources. What we see here when we click into the resources is the main leaderboard area. Everything that students do on Languagenut, they get points. So it's a great motivator. Students really enjoy the competitive side of it. So when students do anything on Languagenut, they can see where they are in their school ranking, the January World Ranking, and we run competitions throughout the year where students with the most points can be in with a chance to win prizes like Amazon vouchers. So this is the main leaderboard area where students will see their point. We have printables, again, in all languages. So you can choose your printable section if you are looking for some pen and paper exercises in French, Spanish, German, Italian, Mandarin, whether it's vocab, multiple choice, and so on, and you can print these out. Okay, I'm going to start off by showing you the vocab trainer in Spanish. And again, this is going to be the same across the board for all languages. What we have here is over 300 pieces of vocabulary broken down into units. Okay, so I'll start off by showing you just the basics here. Again, if you imagine you are covering junior cycle, first years, second years, Languagenut is very versatile. It works front of class. You can be working front of class on the board. For example, if you have a screen or an interactive board. A lot of schools like to use Languagenut to assign home learning. So they use Languagenut front of class on their board to get engagement, interaction, get students motivated, get the students to enjoy the actual learning of the language at class time, and then they assign homework for home learning. If you have access to devices which students can use during class time, this will also work very well for you, and as I'm walking through the resources, I'll show you how this can work well. It just means then that you have another option that you can work in class time with the devices, and students don't all have to be working on the same activity during class time. So here we have the Learn screen. In Languagenut, we follow the Learn, Practice, Quiz format. Okay, so for example, we have vocabulary here for pets.
La araña.
El gato.
El caballo.
Okay, now we can press
La
play
araña.
here. And there's a nice pause there for repetition if you're doing this front of class.
El gato.
El caballo.
Now, if we have some words here,
No tengo mascotas.
we can click the snail and it slows the audio
No
down.
tengo mascotas.
Students can really work on their pronunciation there. We can take off the translation. So if you're front of class, you're working with your students, you want to get some engagement, you can ask them,
La araña.
okay, hands up, what does that mean? Can we remember? And students might shout out answers.
Spider.
You say, yes, correct, it's spider. Okay. With the practice exercises, we're covering the 4 components: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Let me show you the word pop game. If students have devices, they can do this in class, or they can do this for home learning on their own devices. But there's nothing to stop you doing this front of class, inviting students up to have a go. They really like it. It's great fun, and they get you get good engagement out of your students. And actually the feedback that we have received so far from a lot of schools in Ireland who are using Languagenut is that the quote has been, it's great to re-engage with the students, to see the students re-engage with the language and the process of language learning, which I think is one of the best pieces of feedback we could actually get. So it's saying that, the platform is working, students are enjoying their language learning, they're enjoying their lessons, they're enjoying everything that they're doing. So with this,
Cat.
you have cat,
El gato.
we just hit the bubble. Okay, now as you see here, the students will see how they're getting on. 95% of the activities on Languagenut are auto-graded. So that means that the only activities for you, the teacher, that you have to grade are the open-ended speaking questions and writing questions. We can go to the need a hint section. So if the student needs a hint,
El gato.
they can see here. And this is very oral. We're constantly reinforcing the oral element
El
of
gato.
this. But if we have any students who have issues, with visual or reading, they can make the comparison, they can look, they can compare, but they can also listen. Okay. Again, if we click on this snail once, the bubbles slow right down because the bubbles move quite fast. If we click the snail twice, the bubbles completely stop. And that means then that we purposely have a white background with black writing, which works very well with students who may have a learning difference like dyslexia, or students with dyspraxia, or any SEN, any special educational need at all. This will work very, very well. Now, for listening, I think the Snap game is a great game to do front of class. And as I'm showing you these games, because I think I've done these front of class myself, and I know I get great engagement out of the students and they enjoy it. If you would like to book in for a demo with me, you can email me at roisin@languagenut.com. If you come onto a demo, I mean, I get to speak to you. You get to tell me about the setup in your school, your classroom, what access to iPads, Chromebooks, screens that you have. And I can show you as an individual school around your school's needs, how you can make the most out of using the platform to engage your students, to work with your students. But overall, I'm going to kind of walk you through the resources and show you the resources that are available. So here, front of class, or students working on a device in the classroom or doing this for homework, you'll see this is a great game.
Spider.
El ratón.
So that's not Snap, we move on.
El caballo.
So I clicked Snap there, that's not a snap. But if I click it again, the card will go to the back of the deck, and at the end of the game, I'll have the opportunity to do that again.
El ratón. El gato.
Snap.
El caballo.
La araña.
Fun,
La cobaya.
fun.
El gato.
No tengo mascotas.
El perro.
La cobaya. El gato.
I want to do this to the end so
El
you see what
pez.
happens when I do it right to the
El
end,
conejo.
and you'll see that students get
La
points.
tortuga.
And
La
students will get
serpiente.
points no matter what they do on the platform. So it's very motivating,
¿Tienes mascotas?
even for some students who may
El
have a weaker
caballo.
level.
El pájaro.
La serpiente.
La cobaya. El caballo.
Oops.
El perro.
El pez.
La serpiente.
Nearly there. I just want to show you right to the
El
end.
ratón.
El ratón.
No tengo mascotas.
La araña.
La tortuga. ¿Tienes mascotas?
El pájaro.
La cobaya.
El pájaro.
No tengo mascotas.
There we go. So good job so far. Now I can have a try to do the one I got wrong.
La araña.
Snap. So I click continue. And it tells me here I scored 1,300 points. That goes onto the leaderboard. I can go back to practice. If I'm not happy with that mark, if I got a few wrong, I can play again. I'm going to go back to practice now. I'm going to show you some writing. Word pod.
Guinea pig.
Now, if I need a hint, I can come up here and I can have a look at what a guinea pig is. And you see it's la cobaya. And we can listen to it.
La cobaya.
and so on. And then it moves to the next piece of vocabulary. And speaking, this is a great exercise to do for home learning. Students actually do like to do this in class time if they wanted to do it on their own devices or come up to the board and have a go. They actually get great fun out of it.
El conejo.
El conejo. So students, they just simply click on the voice recognition
La
app
serpiente.
and they speak into the platform. If they needed to kind of, have a look at the need to hint section to practice, they could.
La serpiente.
Just come back here. La serpiente. And this is all auto-graded, so it's, you don't have to worry about grading this. You'll go into the admin area and I'll show you the admin area in a while, once I've shown you the resources. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to show some French resources. If you have any French teachers here, let me show you exam skills. Now, with exam skills, this is where we really see the element of differentiation and working with mixed ability classes come into play. Okay, so we're covering junior cycle and senior cycle. We have about 20 different topics here. These are all of the topics that are in the vocab trainer. If we click into the topic of holidays and reading, what you'll see here, we have 3 levels. So level 1 being the easiest, level 3 being the most difficult. So when you are assigning work for your students, whether it's for home learning or for students to work on in class time, and you can be walking around the classroom scaffolding the students and helping them, you can decide as a teacher which level they will have. So if we click on level 1, reading true false, as you can see here we have the reading comprehension, and students can click on the background and the font, so they have that as they like it. If you've any students with any visual impairments or dyslexia, they might like a certain background, certain font. When you're assigning this to the students, you can decide if you think the student should have the question in the target language or not. Okay, that's completely up to you. So you can move the student along depending on their progress. Some students might start off at level 1 with the question in English. After a few weeks, the questions could go into French, Spanish, into the target language, and then they move to level 2 and start off with the question in English. So these are just true, false questions. I'm going to just randomly click them to save some time. As you see here, we just click true, false. The student will always know what they're getting correct, what they're getting incorrect. They never have to really wait to see what they got, to the next day. And then the student will know exactly what questions they got correct and incorrect, and then they'll get their points. Okay, if I go back to junior cycle, say countries and nationalities, French, and let's look at some listening. Level 2 and listening multiple choice. Again, you can decide the level, you can decide if the student should have the question in the target language or if they should have it in English. Let's listen to the audio.
J'habite à Québec, qui est une région francophone au Canada. Je parle le français, l'anglais et aussi l'espagnol parce que ma mère vient du Mexique. Et toi?
Now, students can play around with the audio here. They can play, they can rewind, they can snail if the audio is too fast.
J'habite dans un petit village à la montagne dans le centre de la France, mais je ne suis pas française. En fait, je suis portugaise parce que je viens de Lisbonne. Je parle le français et le portugais.
Moi, je suis français et je viens de Paris, mais maintenant j'habite en Angleterre, à Londres. Je parle le français avec ma famille, mais j'apprends l'anglais aussi. Cependant, c'est...
Okay, so you could see there that the student will always know what they're getting correct, what they're getting incorrect. Okay, and that's a great exercise because, as teachers, we spend a lot of time on maybe oral comprehensions during your class time. But the great thing about Languagenut, I'm going to show you a little bit of German now. The great thing about Languagenut is that we can take that class time back because it's very valuable. And we can be assigning work for home learning, like little snippets of listening comprehensions like that for home learning. And the students can be, doing a little, some short reading comprehensions, listening comprehensions at home. Not all of the speaking and listening exercises have to be done in class time with Languagenut. I've switched to German now for any German teachers there who want to have a look at some resources as well. Again, the format of the platform is the same across the 3 languages. So let's look at speaking. Let's look at level 2. And I know that for all of the different languages for the oral exam, some have Spanish has role plays, French has le document, and German, remind me, I think it's is it like I can't remember, do you have a document or you have a conversation or role plays as well? So again, I'm going to show you the 3 just to cover all bases here. So this is on the topic of daily routine. So what do you do in the evening? This is for junior cycle. So in preparation for the CBAs, what do you do in the evening? The student has 1 minute to count down and they speak into the platform. That goes straight to the admin area for you, the teacher, to grade. Okay. Again, for junior cycle, we can look at level 3. We have a photo description where students have a 4-minute countdown and then they speak into the platform about their photo description. Let me go here to senior cycle. Okay, if we go to the topic of the environment, for example, for speaking for senior cycle, if we look at level 3, we have a conversation. This is based on the environment.
Was sollten wir
German.
tun, den Planeten zu retten?
Okay. Student will have 1 minute to prepare their answer and then they speak into the platform and it goes straight to the admin area for you, the teacher, to grade. And if we look at level 2, if you are doing French, for example, you have on the topic of the environment and you want to prepare a document. This is on the topic of the environment. 4 minutes to prepare an answer and we speak into the platform. Okay, in terms of Spanish, I know that there's role plays in Spanish. So, you know, in terms of preparing for the role plays, you could pick the different topics in the vocab trainer, like, let's say, social issues, for example. You talk about school, social issues, speaking, level 2, if and you could practice the conversation element in terms of practice.
Was für Freiwilligarbeit möchtest du machen?
Okay, that would be in Spanish. Back to exam skills for senior cycle leaving cert, level 2. This is German. We're going to switch in here for a moment into Italian. If there's any Italian teachers here? Italian. Again, the format will be the same in all languages. So let's look at technology, reading comprehension, leaving certificate. We have gap fill exercise here. Drag and drop. Okay, they can submit and then they reset at the end. So you see with the exam skills section that you know, we're working for differentiation. You don't have to assign everybody in the class the same topics. If you're working with mixed ability classes, it's really important that you can be assigning different students different levels of activity to do for home learning or to work in the classroom environment. For example, level 2 here, if this was Italian, we have multiple choice listening, and again we can have the question in Italian if we want to.
Secondo me la tecnologia è molto utile perché è facile trovare informazioni. Faccio ricerche online per i compiti e si può imparare di tutto. D'altra parte, penso che i video su YouTube...
Okay. Now I'm going to go back and look at some Spanish again, and we are going to have a look at sentences and chunks. So I'm going to show you junior cycle whole sentences. For junior cycle, we could look at in the classroom, for example, and some fridge magnets. So no tengo calculadora. We're working here on our
No tengo una
Word order.
calculadora.
And that's on the topic of in the classroom. And if I look at June, senior cycle sentence chunks, let's say the weather, senior cycle. Before really good activities here for sentence chunks, the forklift exercise is particularly good. Students really enjoy this. So my sister likes the snow in winter because she can make snowballs. So we click on the chunk we want and the crate brings it down. So my sister likes the snow in winter because she can make snowballs. Just want to just do incorrect a little bit so you see what happens when it's not completely correct.
A mi hermana le gusta la nieve en invierno porque puede hacer bolas de nieve.
So for the role plays in terms of oral practice for higher level, you can work on the conversation there and you can maybe practice with the photo description. There's a lot of preparation there with lots of different topics. And when we're looking at this forklift exercise, there's a lot going on here as well. We're reading, we're listening, we're focusing on our word order. It's a really good exercise. So the next thing I'm going to show you is phonics, because I'm aware I want to show you some of the EAL resources as well. So what we have here are two commonly confused sounds. When we click into these sounds, then we have to move to a different language just to make sure everybody has a language. So two commonly confused sounds. When we click into the two commonly confused sounds, then we have flashcards illustrating those sounds.
Nez, pied, danser.
We can play them as flashcards. You could play these front of class.
Pied.
There's a nice pause there for repetition.
Danser.
Okay, so you can see how this will work. Assigning work for home learning, differentiated assignments here for home learning, class learning, front of class. Another thing as well, if you have access to devices, which I know not all schools do have access to devices during class time, but if you do, what I've done in the past is I've worked with students and I've done like mini tutorials where I've maybe done some front of class work with Languagenut on the board with a group of maybe 6 students. They've said, look, we want to work on, say, the passé composé in French. So we work on that. We'll work front of class on the board. While I'm doing that, everybody else is working on activities that they want to work on or I feel that they've needed to work on. So they're working on differentiated assignments depending on their ability and what they need to work on their devices. And then we swap. Then after 20 minutes, then we swap and I work on something else with another group who feel they want to get a bit of teacher time, front of class time, and everybody continues to work on their devices. It's like mini tutorials. It's a great way to make the most out of your time and by maximizing the use of Languagenut in the class. But again, I know not everybody has access to devices in the class, in the classroom. So, that's why I think we should use the flashcards, front of class and the learn screens and do the games with the students. You can do the forklift game there. You can do these phonics games front of class. It just requires class participation and it just requires you to get the students to get their hands up and maybe ask them to come up or share the answers. But you will see engagement with the students. And again, please get in touch with me if you would like a more personalised demo around your classroom learning needs at roisin@languagenut.com, and I'd be happy to listen to how things are set up in your school and I'll walk you through how to use Languagenut the best depending on what your situation is. What we have here are 5 fantastic games. I'm going to show you the imposter game. This is where we're not only training students to listen out to the correct sound but also the incorrect sound.
M. Frère, être.
So that's incorrect. You pop the sheep in there and then students will see how they're getting on the sidebar here. Again, 95% of the activities are auto-graded. Only you, the teacher, has to grade the open-ended speaking questions and writing questions. And then as more sheep get dropped into the pen, it becomes more difficult for students to differentiate what's the correct sound and what's the incorrect sound. Now, last but not least, we have grammar and verbs. Okay, everybody's favorite. And as you'll see here, we have some grammar sections here. Let me switch language again. We'll maybe go back to some German now for grammar and verbs. And it's the same across the board, the platform. So it's the same type of topics, the same games. For German, let's have a look at some reflexive verbs in German.
Ich ziehe mich an.
Sie freut sich auf das Fest.
So you could do this front of.
Ich ziehe mich an.
You could do it front of class. Nice pause there for repetition.
Sie freut sich auf das Fest.
I've snailed that there because if students really want to focus on
Rasiert
listening
sich
to us.
jeden Tag.
Wäschst du dir täglich die Haare?
You can take off the target language and then when you're front of class.
Ich ziehe mich an.
You can ask the students, okay, put up your hands and tell me what that means. Can anybody remember? So on, or you could just take off there and.
Ich ziehe mich an.
Sie freut sich auf das Fest.
And you can snail it if it's a little fast for them.
Wäschst du dir täglich die Haare?
So there's lots of different ways we can work with this. Let's look at this dictation exercise.
Sie streiten sich oft.
So the students just type their answer in here, and then they click return, and then it goes to the next piece of grammar. Also in here we have the gap fill exercise. Okay, the student just has to type in their answer here, and then they click return, and it moves to then the next piece of grammar that we've learned. If I show you some verbs now, and this is the same across the board in French, Spanish, German, Italian, what we have here is a comprehensive list of commonly used verbs in all tenses. Okay, so if I go back, for example, then let's say if I go into French. Okay, and let's say we go to aller. Let's, for simplicity, we'll go to the present tense.
Je vais. Tu vas. Il va.
So you could have this front of class
Je
on your
vais.
board, and everybody's repeating. We're going in conjugational order.
Tu vas.
You can take off the target languages
Il va.
translation as well. Okay. When we go to the practice exercises, let's go to verb matcher. I'll show you an example of this. So we have to place the correct part of the verb here. It doesn't follow, conjugational order. So students really have to think about this. To get this completely correct, so that immediately showed me that that wasn't correct, so then I have to go back and try again. Another chance to get that right. Click submit. And then it will tell me immediately, and I'll be able to see here what I got correct, what I got incorrect. And if I click continue, it will give me my points. Now I can play again if I'm not happy with my score, but it's a great mode for students. Okay, so that is an overview of the MFL resources. Before I show you the admin area, I would like to quickly show you some EAL resources. With the EAL resources, the resources are more or less the same across the board in the same layout. We also have a self-study course and an English proficiency test. With the English proficiency test and the EAL, I should show you the EAL resources first. With the EAL resources, we are working with the support of the home language. So if there are any EAL teachers there, you'll see that we're working with the support of all of these home languages, and you'll be able to see that there's probably students in your school who have all of these languages nearly as their home languages. So just for ease, I'm actually going to show you this as French as a home language. Again, we have the vocab trainer with all of the vocabulary in the EAL subscription separated into different units. The fantastic thing about the EAL subscription is that if you imagine we're going from the beginning about me, we have lesson plans for each section here. So you can click in the lesson plan if you are an EAL teacher. And it will give you the whole lesson plan based on About Me. Anybody who's not an EAL teacher, just please bear with me, and I'm going to go and show you the admin area of the platform in a moment. So we have here, it'll give you the vocabulary, the topics, learning outcomes, some learning activities, extension support and variations. It's absolutely fantastic the amount of time that this is going to save any EAL teachers. You can follow the learning plan. It's just a fantastic resource. So if we go into About Me, and you'll see it's broken down into even further units. And then what we have here are flashcards. Again, it follows the same format as the MFL resources, only that we are supporting the home language. So imagine that I'm a student, a French student, and I'm learning English. So I have the support of my home language here. You can take off here the home language if you want to just test the students.
Hello.
This. If you are in an EAL setting and your students come out into the SEN room, and there's a group of students, if you're teaching a group of students who are of different nationalities, you can take off the home language here and you can work on the vocabulary, the vocab trainer front of class with the students just through English. You can also have a setting that just means that English is the target language, so the platform is only in English. But when the students go to work for home learning or on their devices, that then they work with their home language. Okay.
My name is.
And again, it's the same idea, covering the 4 components, be it matching pairs, multiple choice. So hello.
Hello.
My name is. Je m'appelle.
My name is.
And there's a lot of reinforcement there of, you know.
What's your name?
The English audio. We have the need a hint section as well. So students can listen to the need a hint section.
I am short.
If they need to, they can also make the comparisons with the French writing and the English writing. If they have maybe any kind of, if they don't have very, very good literacy skills. I am a boy. So we're working very well. Languagenut works very well for any students with any additional needs. It covers all bases. As you see here, this is very visual. So the flashcards show kind of the visuals. Students can maybe take a guess. And again, with the need a hint section, that reinforces the oral section for students, and it just works very well for them. So goodbye.
Goodbye.
I am short. Where is it? Petite.
I am short.
Tall. I'm happy.
I am happy. I am a girl. I am tall.
So it will give me my points if I'm a student of EAL. So again, it depends on what your setup is in the EAL classroom. The resources follow the same idea. Again, we just have the lesson plans. You know, we have the vocab trainer, we have exam skills as well for secondary school, junior cycle, where we have all of the topics in here. And with the 3 levels here with the reading and comprehensions. Okay, we just don't have the question in the target language because the target language is English here. Again, students can play around with the background. So it's the same idea across the board for the EAL subscription as well. The difference is with EAL that we have the self-study course. So if you have students, we choose our home language. If you have students who have come to the school, they're new to the school, maybe they can't actually partake in some classes, maybe, you know, they don't do Irish, or they need to really work to get the level up so they can actually join in with some class time, and they need to do a little bit of self-study course on a device during that class time. This is the perfect tool for you. Students can you know, work away independently if they're, say, level 8-2. We're working with the CEF4 here and Cambridge level stages. And they can decide, okay, we're working with these topics, clothes, shopping, music, for example, and they can look at vocabulary for different types of music.
To listen to.
Pop music. Rock music.
And we have a printable section here as well. They can do multiple choice, matching pairs, word pop. They can do multiple choice here. And then we have writing, where they can look at some word pod.
La musique pop.
So how would you say la musique pop in English?
La musique pop.
Pop music.
Pop music. Okay, so we can type in here pop music. Okay. Again, anybody who is teaching EAL and who would like an individualized demo, please contact me at roisin@languagenut.com and I can walk you through this, exactly how you would need it to work for you in your particular learning environment. Then we have the English proficiency test, which is a fantastic tool as well. We use this as a measuring tool. Again, you can choose what kind of level here you think a student is at. When a student joins the school or joins the class, they can take the proficiency test. And you'll see it's all of the resources are integrated into the proficiency test, and it will give the students a level. And where's 3? There we are.
3.
And so on. Once we have the proficiency test, you can use it as a measuring tool. The students, you could use it for like midterm tests if you want to. You could use it every couple of weeks, and you can measure the progress that the student is making along the way. It's a fantastic tool, and it's a great measuring tool for you. And if you need to show evidence of this to an inspector or at your department meetings or parent-teacher meetings to show the progress that's being made by student, it's really fantastic. So let me go back here. To show you now the admin area. So the admin area is really the teacher only area, and it's where you teachers can add your classes, you can track progress, and you can create assignments. Okay, Ukrainian is one of the EAL languages for home languages, yes. Let me just go back and I'll show you all of the home languages again. Just bear with me for EAL. So if we go to EAL resources, and oops, move that out the way. So we have Albanian, Arabic, Bengali, as you see here, all of the home languages, all of the support languages, and Ukrainian is included there. Okay, you see all of the languages there. Okay. So let's go and have a look at the admin area. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're using Languagenut, remember that I'm going to send everybody some login details for a 2-week free trial. I would suggest, I think it's always a good idea to trial Languagenut. You can, play around with the platform yourself, but trial it with your students. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed that you don't want to trial it with every student, that's okay. But maybe pick a class. Pick your transition years or your second years or 5th years, and pick 1 or 2 classes to trial Languagenut with. So you're using it with a small group just to start off during those 2 weeks, and you'll really see the difference in the engagement, and you'll be able to practice working with the admin area. So the first thing to do is we need to add classes. You click on new class. You oops, I'm just going to move this out the way here. Oops. Okay, so class name, let's say 6th year French. Oops. Okay, next. You copy and paste your class names in here, or you can just type them in. I'm just going to show you what you do here. Aoife Riley, Paul Dorr. I'm going to make up some names. You say next. Your products. So for example, if you are signing up to EAL, you would say EAL, or if you are secondary, let's say Spanish, and then you just select your teachers. You can add as many students and as many teachers onto the platform as you like. Would you like to download your student logins? You say yes. Then you have them up here. So you see here, your students all have their own unique login details, their usernames and passwords. You save those, but somebody is likely going to lose them. And then you distribute those to your students. Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to create assignments. So we go to create new, assignments and gradebook, create new. Select our product. if we're EAL, Spanish in this case, you can build assignments now, or you can assign them later if you're very organized. You can also create tests. Tests are basically a summative test. So if you have midterm tests, or you want to take midterm tests, or you give your students tests every 6 weeks, you can assign those tests, and your students could do them for home learning, give you back some valuable class time, or you could have the students do the test in class on their own devices. But let's say we want to just create an assignment now for students to complete. We said 6th year French. If I want the whole 6th year French class to have this particular assignment for home learning or for class time, I click the box here, select all. If I want to differentiate this and I only want a certain amount of students to have this work, and I'm going to then assign other students different work, I just select the names here in the box. Okay, I click next. I select a due date. I give my assignment a name. I give some instructions. Repeat assignment, if I click this box, that means that the student can do the exercises again if they're not happy with their work. Then I go and I decide, right, I'm going to give these students some vocabulary, weather and the environment, environmental problems. I want them to do a word pop game. I want them to do some listening multiple choice, reading multiple choice, and some speech practice. And I want it to be done in this particular order. Then I want them to look at some exam skills, their senior cycle, again back to the weather and their medium level. I want the answers in French for this reading true false question, and I want the answers have the answers in English for this multiple choice, and I want them done in this order. Okay, it tells me here this is going to take about 30 minutes depending on ability, because everybody has a different ability. Click next. Okay, I can click this love heart here, and that will add this to my favorites. About 30 minutes. This could be home learning, or this could be work to do in school, and I just click save, and then that has been created for my students. Now if I go into students and teachers, for example, I can go in, this is a demo, so I can go into myself here, for example, and when it comes to parent teacher meetings, you can pull up reports about each student, so everything is tracked for you, so you don't have to put in all of this prep time for reports, for inspections. It's all there. Okay, and when you're all ready to go, when my parents come in, for example, you can bring up my report and you can show them my average score, how I'm getting on, and all of the different areas that I've been working on, and show them my recent activity and so on. If you go to assignments and gradebook, this is where I go in and I correct the assignments that I have created. So for example, if I go in here, if you go in here as a teacher, you'll see an overview. You'll see what's not completed, what's in progress, what's not started. So you can message your students with an incomplete assignment there. When we go to results and grading, you'll be able to get a breakdown of how each student is getting on. If you click on the result here, it will tell you exactly what this student got correct and what they got incorrect. Okay, you can also download and save that, but it's already saved here for you. Now I said that 95% of the activities are auto-graded. The only activities that you will have to grade yourself as a teacher are the open-ended speaking questions and writing questions. So for example, when you see the grade button, you click grade. This is a speaking question that a student did. I listen to it. I give my percentage out of 100. I can leave a comment, but you can also do an audio comment, record an audio comment, which I think is the best way to do it, because you are connecting with the student. They're hearing your voice, even though it's over a platform. If you have any students with any visual impairments or any particular additional needs, an audio comment might be better for them. Also, if you want to give some suggestions about how to pronounce something, you can leave the audio comment, and it works very well because you're connecting with the student. You can also add your own content. So like most teachers, you've got many years of content. You could add your own content on here, for example, French and vocabulary, sentence building, exam skills, and then your content becomes integrated into the platform with the games and activities. We have a content library as well. When teachers add their content, they give permission if they want it to be shared, and then we have specialists here at Languagenut who will go and verify it. to make sure everything is grammatically correct. Gracias, merci, danke. Thanks everybody. Lovely to see you all. I hope to be in touch with you all again soon.